I'm Nathan Berkeley, Associate Vice President for U.S. Strategies at the Religious Freedom Institute. I'm here at the International Religious Freedom Summit 2025 in Washington, D.C., and I'm joined by one of our interns at RFI, Amanda Godwin. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you with us. Where are you from, Amanda?
I'm originally from Florida.
Okay, and where did you go to school? You graduated recently, I understand.
I did. I went to school at a small college up in Massachusetts. It's called Gordon.
Okay, and what did you study at Gordon?
I studied political science, economics, and then also peace and conflict.
Oh, very good. Okay. And you're an intern with us this semester. We're excited to have you. But you also attended our university partnership program, which was kind of how the IRF Summit kicked off this week on Monday. What were a few of the takeaways from the university partnership program for you?
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed the opportunity of getting to connect with other students who had similar interests to me and who are interested in religious freedom and who had different avenues of the ways that they want to take that and understand it. But I also appreciated the way that we covered a wide range of regional focuses, and so we talked about China, and we talked about the Uyghur population there, and we talked about Iraq, and we also had examples from Western Europe, and it was a really wide range of sort of issues with religious freedom that have parallels in each of those places.
Sure. Yeah. And the challenges at the level of principle are very similar, even though they manifest in very different ways, from China to the Middle East to Western Europe, for instance.
Yes, and I think one of the key takeaways from that was that we have to address the problems differently depending on the context. There's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but you really need to contextualize your response to the location and the population and what's happening in the region.
Yeah, and I know throughout that program you encountered some of the leading experts and kind of influencers in this field. So I mean, It's a really great experience on Monday.
That was inspiring, and I felt lucky that they came and spent time with us and spoke to us. That was a privilege. I got to speak to an ambassador and hear from people working with this organization who have done really excellent work and had a lot to share.
Yeah, no, that's great. And how would you describe how you became interested in religious freedom in the first place? I mean, you've taken the time to apply for our internship here at RFI. You took time to join and be a part of this university partnership program. Where did that come from?
Well, I would say in part because I am a person of faith. I'm a Christian. And then also because I've spent time living in multi-faith regions, and so I studied partially in Bosnia, and I was in Sarajevo, and that's a mixed faith city, which I felt so inspired to see communities there of Christians and Muslims and even a Jewish minority and Catholic people all participating on an inter-religious council together, but then also on maybe a lower kind of level, communal level of the practitioners of the faith, like average people like me, in relationship with each other, and that was inspiring. And then I also spent time in Amman, Jordan, in a predominantly Muslim population, and I made beautiful friendships with Muslim people, and it was really an excellent experience to get to practice Muslim-Christian dialogue, and that's something that I want to do with my life, and I think that religious freedom is foundational to being able to view religiously plural societies positively and see the beauty in a diversity of religion, and not just something that we have to tolerate, but something that it's a gift to be in religiously plural places in our country. That's a value that we hold, and I think that's beautiful, but it's also something that we are imperfect and we have problems, and there's a lot to address domestically and internationally, and so I'm just interested in learning more about that as much as I can.
Wow, I mean, those are some profoundly impactful experiences that you've had. I want to switch gears a little bit and have you reflect on some of your fellow students at your alma mater, and if you were to ask them, what does religious freedom mean? How do you think they might respond? What are some common conceptions but also misconceptions of religious freedom they might have?
That's so true. It does often. I think people define that very differently. I think sometimes people think of universalism in a sense. So religious freedom means that we have to greenlight everything as being absolutely true. And in order for me to, when you say the words like Muslim-Christian dialogue, they sometimes think, oh, that means that you're, as a Christian, affirming everything in Islam. And I would say, no, at the foundational, definitional level of that's not the case. You're not saying, oh, I am absolutely greenlighting everything. You're saying, no, I respect your right to exist and your right to believe what you hold. That doesn't mean I have to agree with you. And that also doesn't have to prevent relationship. I can have beautiful relationships with people that I don't agree with. And so I think that's something. So there's just kind of a different degree of what does tolerance mean.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, at RFI, we often talk about this misconception that religious freedom demands that we're equally affirming of all religious truth claims. And we often like to say, we do not affirm, and religious freedom does not demand of you equal affirmation of all religious truth claims, but it does demand us to affirm that all people are equal in dignity. And it's that equal dignity, not some false equality of all religious truth, that sort of leads to, well, the firmest foundation of religious freedom. So we often get to that point because a lot of people have that understanding of what religious freedom requires.
Yes,
No, that's fascinating. So, what's next for you as you look ahead? I mean, you're doing an internship with us. You have other work that you're doing, but how does your experiences with learning more and wanting to deepen your understanding of religious freedom, how do you think that might shape your career trajectory going forward?
Well, that's a hard question for me, seeing as I just graduated and I'm asking myself. But I'd say I want to be a lifelong learner, and I think that spaces of being in environments with people who don't share your background, don't share your belief system, who are religiously diverse, that's an excellent place to constantly be learning and be reminded of how little I really know myself. And so right now I'm looking to see how can I work in an environment where I get to practice being in dialogue and be in relationship with people from other cultural contexts, other religious backgrounds. I don't know if that means domestically or internationally, and I don't know if that means in academia or in kind of like a local or like a nonprofit sort of way. But I am interested in the research side, but I love people, I love relationships. So the short answer is I don't know, but I'm asking that of myself.
Yeah, sure. No, that's excellent and totally understandable. Last question. Is there, based on even your experiences this past Monday, was there an impression you had of, or an understanding of some facet of religious freedom that you thought one way before, and coming out of the program, you because of a sharpening of your understanding, that you kind of see it a little bit differently now? Is there something where your mind sort of migrated as well, even during this short time experience with RFI?
I think that I thought more so about sort of explicit cases of like violations of religious freedom. So like you could point at things like the persecution of the church in various places like China or Taiwan or Hong Kong or Ukraine. But it was very interesting to me to hear from some speakers at our conference about sort of maybe more subtle suppression of religion in secularized sort of European countries. And so I thought that was very interesting in a context that I'd really like to explore more. Is like, what does that look like in sort of Western Europe and Eastern Europe?
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you again for your time today, and we're glad to have you as an intern. I look forward to working with you over the next few months.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you.